In this lesson, you're going to learn about the feature scope option in multi-body modeling. Here we have a multi-body part with two bodies. There are several reasons for creating multi-body parts, and in this part, the reason was that we knew where we needed the hub to be, and we knew where we needed the wheel to be, but we didn't know exactly where we wanted the spoke. So in this case, we've modeled one, then the other. The first revolve was the hub. Second revolve was the wheel. And next we will hook that joins them. Let's start with creating a plane at the end of this line segment. So I'll select the line itself and then Control select the endpoint to the line. Start the plane command. And the default is to make the plane perpendicular to the line at the selected point. So I'll say OK to that. And then click on the plane, select the sketch option, and draw a circle. Need the circle to be somewhat smaller than the wheel. Make it 1 1/4 inches. Now I notice that the circle is still blue, so it must not be located properly. It got part of the relation I wanted, but not the entire thing. So if we click on the center point, we see that it's coincident with the projection of this arc. But what we really want is we want it to be right on that endpoint. So I Control select the center and the endpoint and use the Make Coincident option. Now with the sketch completed, I'll exit the sketch, and we have what we need to create a simple sweep. Use the sweep feature, select the circle as the profile, and the existing sketch as a path. When you have multiple bodies, you're going to have this feature scope panel show up in your property manager, and this will show up in all solid feature property managers. When it is asking you all bodies or selected bodies, what it's intending here is that you are telling it how to use the Merge Result option. Merge Result treats the current feature as a separate body and gives you options through the feature scope to tell you which other bodies to merge with. Now, SOLIDWORKS uses some inconsistent terminology here. The word merge could also be used as combine, as in the combine feature. The combine feature uses an option called add to add bodies together. So let's just use the default options here and see what happens. I'll click on the OK to accept the feature. And what SOLIDWORKS has done is left us with two bodies. Immediately clear why SOLIDWORKS did not merge the spoke with the hub. But if we take a closer look, we can see that the point of contact between the spoke and the hub is just a line. And this is what's called in SOLIDWORKS a zero thickness condition. If we go back to the sweep feature and edit the sketch of the path, we see that this line ends right on the silhouette edge of the cylinder. So the two bodies cannot be added because of the zero thickness. Zero thickness just means that you have an edge where there is no volume contact. It's just a face to an edge or a face to a point or something other than face-to-face contact or intersection of the solids. So what we need to do in this case is delete this relation and drag the endpoint into the center. And this endpoint could be coincident with a number of things. We'll make it coincident with the y-axis. So if we select the endpoint, Control select Y, we can make them coincident with one another. Now all we need to do is establish a depth for this, and that can be done by making a dimension that goes to the origin. Now when we exit the sketch, even though the two bodies intersect, clearly in this case, SOLIDWORKS is still giving us two separate bodies. And that's because we did not change the feature scope of the sweep feature. So let's edit the sweep, take a look at the feature, and in this case, it is only set to merge with Revolve 2, which is the outer hand wheel. If we tell it all bodies, then SOLIDWORKS has merged it all into a single body. If we go back and edit the sweep and turn off the merge result altogether, then we get three separate bodies that all intersect. The hub and the spoke intersect, and the spoke and the wheel also intersect. If we were to create another hole in the body hub, open a sketch down here, draw a circle, make a cut, say this cut goes this deep, we still need to select the feature scope. If we turn off auto select and we just tell it to affect the hub, then the hole is enlarged and the spoke is not touched. We can edit the feature scope again, remove the hub and only put the spoke in. In this case, we can see that the spoke has been affected, but the hub has not. If we edit the feature scope such that the cut does not touch any of the bodies, you'll get a message from SOLIDWORKS that says the intended cut does not intersect the model. Please check the sketch and direction. Sometimes this message is easy to interpret, and sometimes it isn't. In this case, it's very easy because the cut clearly did not intersect the selected body. In other cases, you may have a problem with the sketch rather than the body selection. So if we go back, edit the feature one more time, select the sweep and the central hub, we can say OK. And you can see that both features have been affected by the cut. If you have a situation where features have been made into separate bodies and you need to combine all of these features, you can use a feature called Combine through the Insert Features menu, Combine. Combine is essentially what other CAD systems would call a Boolean, meaning you can add, subtract, or find an intersection between the solid bodies. In this case, we want to add, and we'll select the bodies we want to add. This creates a single solid body that represents our design intent. If we wanted to pattern the spoke around, we could roll back the combine, use the circular pattern, select the temporary axis through the center, or just say the y-axis in this case. And instead of features, you can select bodies to pattern. We'll talk more about this later on. But patterning bodies generally improves performance. This circular pattern can be controlled through equations and other means. But if we use Combine, now we'll still wind up with several different bodies, and our Combine only combined the original spoke. So we'll need to edit the combine and select the remaining bodies and say OK. Now we're back to a single body in the feature manager.